Good afternoon, everybody. Today, what I wanted to do is to introduce the next assignment, which is to do a movie poster, but a very particular kind of movie poster. This will be an autobiographical movie poster, meaning that if you were to make a movie about your life, what would the title of that movie be and what would the movie poster look like? It doesn't have to be all encompassing. It can only need cover one aspect of your life. It could be a particular event. It could be a mood, maybe that you have a part of your personality that you want to deal with and that sort of thing. So let me go ahead and show you some movie posters that from my classes that we have done before. So hold on here. There we go. I've got some other stuff here that I need to. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go to, and you have access to these as well. But if you go to Kirk's classes, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. There we go. I'm going to bring this here. So this is on Kirk's classes. And if we move down to Photoshop, we can see, let's see right here. It's not that one. Where do we start the movie posters? There we go. We start right here. So it doesn't have to be all, the movie poster doesn't have to be all encompassing. You know, it doesn't have to cover every aspect of your life. It doesn't even have to have an image of you. Okay. In this particular case, Isaac, you know, one of the things that his passions was to be part of a band, and they were kind of grunge. And so he was able to find photographs of himself and his band and incorporate that into his movie poster. So to give you some parameters of the movie poster is that it has to be 11 by 17. It needs to be a minimum of 200 pixels per inch, ideally 300 pixels per inch. It needs to have a title. If you want a subtitle, you can also add that. It also needs to have credits, and that's what you see down here. Okay. They don't have to be real credits. They can be just placeholders. And I can show you later on near the end of the class today where you can find credits online and actually copy and paste. And they will be just fine for this assignment. But what I want you to take note of is the fact that he used principally a single image. And it does happen to be of himself, but doesn't have to be. I don't know if that's him or not, but I think it is. Notice how he's exaggerated the contrast, the extremes between light and dark, so that it's a really powerful, strong image that captures your attention. The typeface that he's chosen, I think is appropriate and has kind of a grunge look to it. When you look at it carefully, it's getting blurry by me zooming in too much, but you can see that it has kind of a rough look about it. So type choice is important. You can also, if you are familiar with Adobe Illustrator, or if you want to experiment with the perspective, the 3D aspect of Photoshop, you can. We've worked with some other type tools that allow you to enhance type and have it follow a curve or wavy lines and that sort of thing for specific, you know, unusual type effects. You can add drop shadows. You can do all sorts of things. The color does not have to be, you don't have to adhere to true color. It could be a black and white poster. In fact, I think one of them that I have here is, this is pretty close to being a black and white poster. So with this one, Oscar pretty much wanted to deal with the concept of his family and its importance, how it's important to him. I think what really strengthens his poster are two things. One is that he's used the image of this fellow, and it's not him, it's representing him though, and in silhouette, and then placing, you know, his wife, who isn't his wife, inside. And notice that the sub image of the family here, really kind of a nice, he's using, you know, multiple images, but notice that there's a hierarchy that that he follows. So you really look at the silhouette of the man and the woman first, and then you might look, you know, in a clockwise fashion and see the silhouette of the family, and they take kind of a secondary or tertiary role. Then he has an image of the city behind it. Here's kind of the subhead he has, and down here he's added his credits. And what I really like about it is how he's manipulated the type to make a very powerful title design. Okay. The next one here is by Richard Mowry. And he was probably one of the best students that I've ever had. And he was sort of a ringer for the class that I taught when he was in it. He already had a degree in art from Cal State Long Beach. So he knew how to draw, he knew how to paint. He understood 2D design, he understood color theory. So he was really able to focus on just learning the tools in Illustrator and web design and Photoshop and all the classes that he took with me. He was a very shy, quiet, introverted person. And I think that's how, you know, this poster really conveys his personality to a T. You might notice his choice and his placement of the title. It doesn't always have to go to the top. It's probably a little bit more powerful that it's lower in this one, so that you see the image of him lost in a crowd first. So that works really well. This is not a movie poster, but it could very well be a movie poster. This is the one poster that I show for my advanced class, and it's the one that they should be working on now, which is to do a public service poster. But it follows all the basic principles, I think, of a really strong poster, is that it has a large central image. Now, there's a lot of images in here. It is basically a landscape or a cityscape, but you'll notice that the image of Noah's Ark really kind of takes a center stage and is first and foremost in the image. The type that he uses is bold, and again, it's not a movie poster, but simple and to the point, and it helps to frame the rest of the image. So that was one of the things that I wanted to show you. These are our samples of student work that I think work really well. Now, this will probably date me a little bit, but hold on here. There we go. I have a Pinterest folder that we could look at, but also there's, and this is something that I encourage all of you to do, is to do a simple Google search, and I put in award-winning movie posters. Some of them are terrific and some of them stink. So it's kind of a broad tag that's used for these, but I wanted to show you some that I have that I think are outstanding, and I'll explain why. The first one I think here is that if I look at this one, movie is titled Us. Simple single image of a Black woman, but notice how they've used the photograph or Photoshop really effectively, and taking her hand and duplicating it and following, basically duplicating her face, but eliminating the eyes so it becomes kind of a mask. Notice at the top how they have Jordan Peele as the director of Get Out, and it's, but it really is secondary. And although it's at the top of the page, it's small and doesn't overpower the rest of the image. The image itself is the strongest element. The strong, warm colors, the way that the image itself dominates the poster is really very effective and pulls you in. In addition to that, the simplicity, but the elegance of the title of the movie, Us, really works nicely. And then you'll notice that the credits down below are there, but because they're kind of grayed and they sit back and they don't overpower the title, or they don't overpower any part of the rest of the movie poster. In fact, they sit back quite nicely and are really strong. The whole poster is just extremely strong. Okay. Now I'm going to show you two other posters. I don't know how many of you have seen The Green Book with Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali. It's a pretty straightforward illustration of the man who was a prominent, what instrument did he play? I think it was a pianist. I can't even remember that. I mean, it was a very powerful movie. Classical pianist, and played about because it was during, a time in America when he had to, he couldn't stay in hotels and motels or eat, where white people ate. He had a fellow drive him about, and it turns out it's about the friendship that they developed. Now, the only thing that this movie poster doesn't have are credits, which I want you to have. It could just as easily work with a Green Book up here, okay, with credits down here. But it's really, I think, a very powerful. And again, look at the simplicity of the design, that not only does the sky reflect the color of the car, and the car reflect the color of the sky, just very straightforward with the two principal actors in the movie, with them in the car driving about, throughout America. Really, really nice. Now, in contrast to that, if I close that, here's another one. Now this one, let me see if I can't enlarge this a little bit so you can see this a little bit better. This one is a more complex scene. Now it's just taken a still from the movie itself, which appears. It has the Green Book, but notice what it's doing. It has all of the publicity, the kudos from the critics, the way that they have written and pumped up the movie. And it was an excellent movie, but that's what they're trying to showcase here. But it really, I think, detracts from the elegance of what we saw a moment ago. So I'm really not going for that. I'm just going for to tell a really strong story. And that's what's important. We're not trying to sell anything at the moment. So another one that's fairly contemporary that isn't too bad is the one was, Mars with Matt Damon. And this is kind of a spoof on that, but still it's taking on off from it, and with a really strong visual image. Notice how they've used a typeface that has sort of a high-tech feel to it. They do add the credits to this. They've also limited the color palette to the warms and the oranges that you would see on Mars. And they have added at the top the actors, here in the movies that he's been in. And you can do that. That would be fine. Okay. Another strong one from, the past Silence of the Lambs with Jodie Foster and Anthony Hopkins. Again, I think probably the most powerful movie posters are the ones that are able to distill the movie down to a single image. And with that image, to tell a story. Because think about it, what a movie poster is. It really is kind of like a logo for a film. What you're doing is you're combining the title and oftentimes a single image, but more often than not, these days, multiple images that showcase the stars, which I think are less successful. But what you're doing is you're taking thousands of images that you would see in all of the frames of the movie, and you're distilling it down into one single frame that hopefully isn't how can I put this? It basically entices you into wanting to know more about the movie. It isn't an exact replication of what you would see in the movie, because I don't remember seeing any moths in the movie, but it has me curious, wanting to know more about the characters in this movie. Or it doesn't have Anthony Hopkins at all in his jail cell or anything. Okay, it does have Jodie Foster, that's who this is. But really a dynamite film, or it was a dynamite film, and it's a dynamite movie poster. Okay, so those are some that we can come back to, but I wanted to show you a couple of others. Let me go to here. And this is where it really dates me. Some of my favorite movie posters go back to the 80s before Photoshop. Because that back in the 80s was when I was an illustrator. And I think one of my favorite movie posters of the day was something like E.T. And there were about 3 different versions that I thought were really powerful. This was one where E.T. and the boy touch, almost kind of like Michelangelo's, God and Adam touching in the Sistine Sistine ceiling. Okay, and then there's, an image of Earth below, and there are credits that are very subtle inside Earth that help to, with this upward arc, pushes your eye upwards. E.T., the title, is at the center, and it glows, which is really kind of nice because, the finger of E.T. kind of was a glowing kind of thing. With the sky and as a dark backdrop to illuminate all of the imagery. Now, another one that I think is equally strong is this one, because one of the really key scenes is when E.T. and the boy are on the bicycle, and it lifts him up. And this isn't an exact, this is what I mean by not an exact image from the film, but it's one that you could easily imagine, with the moon as a backdrop and the boy and E.T. as a silhouette. That really, in a nutshell, says the whole thing, says the whole movie. Now, there's another iteration that I probably think is less successful, where they've combined both of those. It's kind of a stretch. I think the others are probably more successful. This one and this one. I guess because I like the simplicity, they're not trying to do too much. This one I think is really stupid. This was not, I think, ever used, but that would be an example of kind of a literal interpretation of the movie. This would be another literal interpretation that just, I hope you guys can see the wisdom or my understand the experience, glean from my experience over the years of what constitutes maybe something that's a stronger concept and stronger design. So this would be something that I would not encourage you to do, not at all. But that, that's one of my favorites. The other ones that I really, really like, if you're going to go for a montage or collage look, would be something like Indiana Jones. Well, it was originally a trilogy. And I think these are really powerful because they do show everything, not only the lead characters, Harrison Ford and, oh shoot, I can't think of his name. Anyway, you know who I'm talking about here, his father. Original James Bond. But then notice how they, in the outlining frame of the movie, they have the other secondary characters in here, and then they have a key, it's not really a scene, but it's, an action element from the scene that helps, it becomes a target to draw your eye into the center of it. But notice how the two lead characters, draw your eye in, and they're the dominant images. Really, really very nice. This one is kind of one of the original ones. This is Raiders of the Lost Ark. And again, Indy, Harrison Ford is the key character. And they do include everything else, including the kitchen sink in here. But notice how they all are subordinate to Indy. And again, they use kind of a nice, Amsel used a nice target, a nice circular device behind him to help draw your eye in, and then use all of the secondary and tertiary elements, place them around it. I think the title is also really important in here too, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Raiders. If you were to do any research and look at, the serial movies that were very popular during the 40s, it has the look and feel of those. So, it's really, very successful in that regard. So that would be another direction that I think you could go if you want to use multiple images. Just remember that it's really important if you use, lots of images in your movie poster, that you develop a hierarchy. What is the most important image? That's the one that typically is the largest image, that has the greatest contrast between light and dark and has the most vivid colors to really pop. Okay. Next to that, we can also look at some others that are my favorites from years gone by, which are the Star Wars movies. Okay. This one I think is probably one of my favorites. The only thing that I don't like about it is how they separate the credits from the rest of the movie. But by doing that, they take the unique logo of Star Wars, with it kind of receded into space, into this one point perspective, and it helps to tie the two together and to draw your eye in. But notice how this is composed. It's off center, so it's not symmetrical like most of the movie posters that we've looked at. This is before Han Solo, Harrison Ford's character, became, really an important part of the series. Okay. Then it has Princess Leia, it has R2-D2 and C-3PO, and and small characters, but they're there. Darth Vader is an extremely large image, but notice how it almost blends with the background in terms of it doesn't have the greatest amount of contrast. So it's there and it's looming in the background. Okay. And also notice the composition, how these starfighters draw your eye around and up to the top here, and then your eye is drawn back over to the right and back down, and it works almost in a circular fashion. Very, very powerful. And again, that's, one of my you know, as I said, that dates me because that goes back a long, long ways. But I think these were, I enjoy the posters that were illustrated. Most of them now are use Photoshop to build them and are photographic. But I do also think that conceptually, many of them like these were stronger, and they were stronger from a design and aesthetic point of view as well. So there's some others that I wanted to have you look at as well. Let me see if I can't find it here now that I've been poking around here. Let me go to my, let's go ahead here. Let me go to my Pinterest page. Yeah, I have some of the same images that in the Pinterest page, but this one was out not too long ago. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the movie Boyhood. Okay, it spans over many years of this fellow's life, and I like how it's just a very simple singular image, you know, single image, and but it's torn in the middle here, and how they've blended the two. The fellow is a boy and as an adult, so you get from the get-go, you get an idea that it's not just about his boyhood, but it's about him transitioning from boyhood to adulthood. Yeah, it came out in 2014. I guess that's older than I thought it was. Okay, so I found that to be really a powerful poster. I've already shown you Silence of the Lambs. I thought Transformer was a good one. This combines many of the elements. Again, that I've talked about. It's a single, principally a single image, but notice how they've transposed part of his former self into almost as a silhouette. You know, use the profile of him as a silhouette and put him inside. And you can see that he's transforming, so it's dealing with transgender issues. Simple type. They do showcase the awards that this movie was awarded. No credits, but again, I want you to have credits on yours. So easily these awards that were won could be put up here and reduced in size a little bit, and then Transformer could be moved up a little bit, and the credits could go down here, and it would work equally as well. So that would be another good one. Again, simplicity, I guess, is what I'm going for. This was probably one of the better Saving Private Ryan movies, where it's the singular image of Private Ryan silhouetted against this a stark, kind of dark, looming, cloudy background. And, you know, again, it has Tom Hanks as the principal character. He's the protagonist of the film, but, you know, he gets his due here, but it doesn't overpower the movie itself, the title. Notice how they've changed the weighting. So it's very simple type, sans serif, all lowercase, but saving is then in bold to, it showcases that. And again, the credits are there, but they're sublimated to the rest, you know, to the rest of the movie poster. Okie doke. I hope you're getting a sense of where I'm going with these. This is another nice one too, the Shawshank Redemption. Okay. Again, I don't know that this one was ever actually really used, but again, it's a good use of taking a single image and adding other elements to it. So you have this, it's really kind of, you know, you have three images rolled into one. Okay, and neither one of these really dominates. You see it as a whole, as a single image. And notice how each of the Morgan Freeman is faced, you know, to the right. and oh, I can't think of his name, is faced to the left so that they balance one another out. And then the rest of this is just darkened, and it really the rest of his face back here, I don't recall who he is just, he blends almost with the background. So they all, you know, it's together reads really, really well. It's a very powerful image. So that would be another one. Tales from the Hood is another kind of, it's a very symmetrical kind of movie poster. And it functions well, and that, you know, you have this bold red title at the top. It sort of has sort of a grungy look. It's, you know, large and dominates. Don't be afraid for the type to overlap the central character or any other parts of the movie poster. But it's a central, you know, image. And notice how it follows almost a triangular, very balanced compositional format with these other characters inset within it that don't dominate, but they all kind of read together nicely as a whole. And again, they don't have credits down here, but there are room for credits. So that would be easy to use, because that was a teaser poster. Other ones, I've shown you some of these others. This one, an old one. The Last Emperor. They've separated, similar to the early Star Wars movie poster, they separated the credits from the rest of the poster. But notice how they've really used the 1-point perspective to draw you in. Oftentimes they will use perspective dramatically like that to, you know, draw you into the poster. A lot of them, the hair, what are they? Clint Eastwood movies, Dirty Harry movies are done like that. Use of the nice warm colors, you know, that, but they don't have, you know, again, limited palette. Notice where it changes though. The 1-point perspective of this bridge here is what draws you in, but the rest of the colors of the boy and the background have that nice warm tone. What else do we have here? I thought The Shape of Water was very nice. Again, focusing on kind of a singular image with the woman and the monster, that sea creature. I think this is probably a bad reproduction because The Shape of Water and the credits should be a little bit more pronounced than they are. It's hard to tell. Archie, you have a question. Hold on. You want to hold? Let me unpause the recording for a minute. I forgot to continue when I paused a while back. I forgot to continue recording. So we have all of these movie posters that you're free to look at. Let me see if we can, if you can get access to them on my website. My apologies. So let's go back here. Oh, I need to go back. Back. See if you have access to all of them. I don't know how long ago that was. But if we look at let me go to my website. Let me just do that. kmart66.com. I knew I shouldn't have stopped recording. That's happened a couple of times before. Come on. There we go. So if we scroll down to the bottom, let's see if this will take you to my Pinterest account. So you can see some of the movie posters that I had. Come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go. So it is taking you to mine. What you will want to look at is not all pins, but I have a pin for movie posters. So these are some of my favorites that I picked. And you can do the same thing just by doing a simple Google search. You could also go on to Pinterest yourself and type in, award-winning movie posters and find many of the same ones that I've shown you today. Yeah, here are all the ones that I've shown you that I think are really top-notch. Some old, some new, relatively new. Okay, so does that help you out? Are there any questions before we leave today? I will show you how to start your movie poster on Wednesday. And what we will do, I thought this was a nice one too, gravity. Come on. Again, that monochromatic, strong contrast that really draws your eye into the center of the poster. Very powerful. All of these are like that. I mean, look at them and analyze them, and that's where you can learn. And actually, one of the things that I would strongly recommend is that if you can find a few posters that you really, really like, and you want to model yours after that, them, but using your own images, using theirs for composition, I would recommend that you do that. And, that's one way of learning, is to model yours after the masters, so to speak, after really, strong others who have developed strong design pieces, and do the same for yours. And, as long as you use your own images and you play with some of the features that are available in Photoshop, some of the things that we've used in recent lessons, especially this last one in advanced compositing, you'll be able to come up with something that's unique. Okay. Everything is running kind of sluggish at the moment. Okay, so if there aren't any questions, would you like me to pause now and we continue, or can go back, show you how I would start the poster? It's similar to how I would have shown you how to start your postcard assignment. That if we go to Photoshop, go to File, New, and it's going to be 11 by 17. That's tabloid size. So we can pick from, we can create our own custom or just go into tabloid size. It's 11 by 17. If you want to try to start at 300 pixels per inch, you can. Click Create. Ta-da! Now you can go ahead and you can bring all of your images into it. So if I had another image, for example, if I had it, let me go ahead and open, I wanted image of my dog. I was going to focus on that. So let's go ahead and I'm going to browse on the desktop for my image of my dog, Bagel. So if I go to the desktop and I find my image of Bagel, where's Bagel, Bagel, Bagel? No, I don't want that one. Where's Bagel? Hope I didn't remove it. Oh, there it is. There's the bagel. So let's go ahead and open the bagel. Okay. So if I wanted to use her as a principal image, but this is a, my personal movie, my autobiographical movie focuses on my dog. So I want to make sure that I have a composite image that I'm using. And I think it's high enough. It might be big enough. I don't know. So let's go back and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the move tool and I'm going to drag it in like so. Drag it back down, hold down the shift key, bring it to the middle. And notice that I didn't bring it all in. I didn't want to do that. So I'm going to undo and I'm going to go back to here. And I need to select all of these images. I need to, I goofed. That was an overlay image that I had. So what I'm going to do, I hope I don't save this, but I'm going to go ahead and just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to flatten the image. And it's okay to discard hidden layers. That's what I'm doing now, but I don't want to save this image because I only brought over one layer that I thought was the important one. So now I'm going to drag it in like so, bring it down. And it's a nice big image, And so what I might want to do is I could bring in another image of nice big fluffy clouds and a nice deep blue sky, and I could isolate that and bring that in. I could also maybe use clone stamp, or I could use some other images here for to bring in the sand in the foreground, and that could be my principal image. And now all I have to do is I need to develop a really striking title for it. So let me go ahead and shrink this down a little bit, Command T. Because it doesn't need to be quite so large. That would be a good size for it. So now, I can do one of two things. I would look for another image of clouds, but what I can also do is, because this is a pretty, it has a slight gradient to it, but I'm just curious to see what will happen here. If I try to, stretch this out. So what if I were to take this like so on that image, and I'm going to use under edit, I'm going to use content aware scale, and I'm going to stretch this out. And because it's just a solid color, and notice how it blends really nicely with the background, I'm good to go. I would probably want to bring an image of clouds in here. Don't use the computer generated clouds. That would be horrible. Maybe I would want to bring in an image of a blimp or something as a secondary image. It's quite possibly. I could try down here. I could select this area and I could try on a content aware fill. So I could go to edit, try content aware fill, see how it works. Maybe it would get me started, maybe it wouldn't. Okay. So let's see what it's going to look like when it's done. It's taking a bit of work to try to figure that out, but it looks like it's getting most of the area that I want. I would want to remove, yeah, see, I need to remove some of this area from over here. So I'm going to take the area here that's in this, and let's take the area from here and remove it. It's using the clone. It's going to recalibrate. And notice the stutter effect. So it's really not working to my advantage at the moment. It's just too much area, but let's see what we get. And we might be able to go back and to retouch it and make it work. If not, then maybe use clone stamp, or, go back to the beach, take a photograph of some sand and bring it in here. Yeah, notice the repetition in here. So it's not working for me. So I got to pick another way of doing this. So maybe take clone stamp and build larger areas. And then maybe once I have built some larger areas, maybe even remove the leash, then I could go ahead and I could stretch it over and try to do that and see how that would work. So yeah, that might be an idea. So, there's a multitude of ways that we've already learned of trying to figure out different ways of taking a single image that was a horizontal image, and now I'm making it work as a vertical one. And I would have, the sand down here isn't going to be dominant. It could be darkened with a gradation. But let's try again and try with, go to edit. And I'm going to try to use content aware scale. Let's go ahead and take that and drag that down like so. Something like that just might work. It might look like it was taken with a, not quite, it doesn't work. But, you get the idea. It's taken me just a couple of minutes to get to where I want to be, or close to it. Okay. And then, on separate layers, we could play with type. And maybe I would want the type to be kind of playful, because that's what, the dog is, playing at the beach, at Rosie's Dog Beach here at Belmont Shore. And so I want that to be playful, and I want to have some nice fluffy clouds in the background and that sort of thing for it to play off of. So I would want to pick a typeface that is playful. It's not too serious. So it would probably want to be soft, rounded, not hard edge, not sans serif, and I have to play with it. Okay. So I apologize for there's going to be an abrupt change or stoppage in the recording of this, but it should at least get you started, and then we'll continue on Wednesday. And on Wednesday, I want to get you started. We'll be watching some videos on using Photoshop as a painting tool, the mixer brush tool. And I already have them recorded from last semester on Canvas. So if you want to watch them there, but we're going to watch some here, and you can do that. And then I could, come back and maybe talk about more movie posters again to kind of fill in the gaps that are going to exist from where I paused the recording and forgot to turn it back on. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop sharing if there aren't any questions. Let's go back here. So you just have me. So is the postcard due? Yes, it is due by the end of the week. I forgot what I put on the, it may have been due at the end of last week, but it's not the end of the world. Let me look here and see where I put, if you look at this week's weekly syllabi, and we scroll down to Art 192. Yeah, it was due at the end of last week. But if you turn it in now, it's fine. You will not be penalized. And I believe I published on Canvas the due date for it. If I didn't, my apologies. It's not the end of the world. I thought I did, though. So let me go back and let's see. That's, what do I have here? That's Safari. So let's look at. Let's look in Canvas and let's see under under assignments. Where is it? There we go. Yep. Put due February. No, that shouldn't be. Oh, that's The Invisible Man. My apologies. Wrong class. Assignments. No, I didn't put it on there. So let's go ahead and add that. Postcard assignment, I'll make it due by the end of the week. Okay, so it will be due March 5th. Okay, so let me go ahead and edit. Scroll down, do it while everybody's watching here. Due March 5th. There we go. Just remember, you know, if you turn in the work late, you will not be penalized. It just takes you away from the next assignment. And probably the next assignment, which is the movie poster, will be due right after spring break. We have 2 more weeks before spring break. So you'll be able to get started with it and we'll finish it up after spring break. Okay, my apologies. I thought I had added that. Yeah, but I remember putting it in the weekly syllabus, just not, I forgot to put it on Canvas. Okie doke. So, you know, just remember, you should always be working on these. And I try to give you about a week in advance of when they're due. Okay, and we usually have 3 to 4 weeks to work on each assignment to give you an idea. And because, you know, we're working asynchronously, it's not critical, you know, that they're due exactly on time, but I would like to have a critique on Wednesday. If that's not possible, then that's okay. We can save it for next week. Okay. Yeah, it's recording now, but I think before I had paused the recording. I turned it back on. So yeah, we'll see what I'm missing. So we've kind of gone over our time now. So if you guys want, you are free to leave, but don't leave just yet. I am going to pause the recording now. Yeah, so if there aren't any more questions, we're done for today. Went on a lot longer than I imagined. And I can continue with this on Wednesday if you'd like. They give everybody a little bit more time to finish their postcard. Some of you who have turned in your postcard, you should have gotten a grade for it. And if you want, because I plan on having a critique, if you can attend, or if you want to set up a private one-on-one meeting, I can critique you individually if you would prefer that. No, just submit your postcard on Google Drive, not on Canvas. Okay, yeah. Okie doke. Well, then I'll say goodbye for now. You guys are free to leave. Okie doke. Bye-bye.